Salaam, when you've worked with a lot of really incredible artists, what is your what's the first thing that happens when an artist walks into your studio?
For me, I guess the big part of the process is when I first meet an artist or anyone in general, I'm trying to get them to relax and to be able to tell me their story without worrying about what's going on in their world. You know, most artists have all types of, issues, family, life, business, everything else is happening. But when we get to the creative process, I want them to be able to dig inside themselves and tell me something and tell the world something via the music, something that's happening within, and really express that. So I try to just get them to relax and feel like I'm a cool enough person for them to tell me what's really going on and to express that in this area and forget about whatever else, maybe preconceived and going on. Just shut down. This is where it's at. Let's just focus and put our energy in one place. So it's usually a thing where I'm really just trying to get them to relax first.
So how do you do that? I mean, how is it? Have you usually met the artist before they come into the studio, or obviously
most
not?
of the time, but then sometimes not. I mean, it's just I can't help it. It just happens.
Yeah.
It's like okay, so now let's start over. What did you say you want to do again?
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Positive reassurance of what their ideas are, and I usually would do whatever their idea is first.
So is it when you're in the studio? Is it do you have an idea before you come in, kind of what you want to do for that artist or for that song, or is it something that just kind of develops naturally, through your time in the studio?
It all varies. I mean, a lot of times I may have an idea in the back of my head, but I also want to make sure that the artist is expressing themselves, because there's a difference between a singer or a rapper and an artist.
Right.
And an artist, I'm looking for them to help the creative process and also to shape what's going to happen that day. So, my joy in the morning is waking up and not knowing what's going to happen by the time I get home. I get up and then we're going to create something.
Yeah.
And this happens and it becomes something, and then by the time we go home, it's like, wow, that was great.
Yeah.
So whichever way that can come about, I really let it flow.
Yeah.
But if I have little pieces of an idea, I try not to impose them on the artist until they first express themselves. And if they, having a speed bump and they don't really feel it, then I'll, push forward.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I want a product. And then,
Right.
for whatever the day's efforts were, I want to have something to show for it. So I make sure I get that.
Yeah. So what is your typical day like? Are you in the studio most of the time? Are you meeting with artists? I mean, as a music producer, what does your day consist of?
Well, unlike a lot of my peers, I'm actually, heavy with business stuff as I am with creative. So I actually wake up pretty early, like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
And I'm usually up figuring out what's going on, maybe getting some musical ideas on the phones, setting up business things and getting other things like that. So from 7 to 10, I'm usually setting up some business aspects, talking to assistants, talking to accountants, figuring out whatever I want to do, kind of do my own internal planning of what I want to get done. From 10 to 12 is heading to wherever my venue will be for the day, if it's in the studio, in the meeting space, whatever else it is. Then from 12, onward, depending on how the day flows, I'll be in the studio creating whatever needs to happen, which is sometimes one session, sometimes I have 2 or 3 going on at a time. It's just, I really multitask and
So
do a lot.
You're heavily involved in the business aspects of what you're doing. Then it sounds like you hear a lot of artists say that I can't do the business side. It just they get in their creative zone. But as a music producer, you really have to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all about the
have
product.
That sense.
I'm all about the product, and for me, it's a thing where I'm really trying to balance art and commerce. Because the fact that I have nice art doesn't mean I'm going to get paid for it.
Right.
Or there is a way to get paid for it. So I'm always trying to balance both sides of it, and help things go forward. Because it's nothing like just like if we were making movies, you can have a great idea. That doesn't mean you're going to get funding and be able to execute it.
Yeah.
So for me, knowing that I want to do things that are very artistic, I have to make sure that I have the avenues and not have the world see that.
Yeah, definitely. And so you were doing both films and record production these days.
Right.
And I know that you did both executive music produced for both Sex and the City movies.
Yes.
And did that very fun scene with Liza Minnelli. Was that your idea? Or
Not at all. It was written in the script. I read it off the paper and executed as requested. That was Michael Patrick King right there. That took about a month altogether to execute.
Up in the club, we just broke up, I'm doing my own little thing. Decided to dip, now you wanna trip, 'cause another guy noticed me. Up on him.
So tell me some Liza stories. What was that experience like? Was that your first time meeting her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in general, I feel like with meeting Liza Minnelli, it was just, certain things doesn't happen in a lifetime. To meet someone like Liza Minnelli, but then to actually to produce and have to record a vocal and, okay, Liza, can you do that one more time? Like, who am I and what am I doing?
Yeah.
So it was really a unique experience, which I'll never forget.
Okay. And you guys had fun?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Was that some hesitation?
Yeah, I mean, it was fun recording, but then also she had to film it, and she
Yeah.
got up there and did the
Right.
dancing, and it was intense on set that day,
Really?
just to get it all done.
Yeah.
It was a lot of work.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It was a whole lot
She's
of work.
fit too.
Yeah,
That was pretty
Yeah.
cool to watch.
yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So, of all the artists that you've worked with, and you've worked with a lot, I know you worked with Nas, the Fugees, Amy Winehouse, she's one of my favorites. Who is not like what people view them as? Who's most different from their public persona?
That's a hard question.
Is it?
Who's not like the public persona?
Yeah. Like, who surprised you when you met, or
That's a good question.
Thanks.
I mean, Nas, I was with this last weekend. He and I are really similar because we're both technically introverts, even though he goes out and performs and does stuff.
Right.
We really feel comfortable hidden away from the world and just coming up with ideas and not really caught up in the glamour or the glitz.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the artists that I work with have a real art over the hype
Yeah.
kind of outlook on life.
Right.
So for the most part, whether it's Nas, Lauryn Hill, Amy Winehouse, Nelly Furtado, who I'm working with a lot now, they're all really into their life and doing different things and being comfortable in their own skin more than, the Hollywood side of the business.
Right.
So I think that's just a common denominator.
Yeah.
Most of the artists that I work with, that we all get along on the bottom line level. Like, we want it to be good.
Yeah.
And we want to have a great piece of product and enjoy our art, but we don't want to let our art control us.
Yeah.
We want to control our art and put it where we want it to go.
And I think for the artists that you mentioned in particular, I mean, they really do strike me as very authentic and really into their art. So
Authentic is a good word for me.
Yeah.
That's what I try to keep it as.
Yeah.
Like, whatever my experience of the day is, I want it to be authentic. And when I'm working on a film, I want it to feel authentic to the scene. If I'm working with the artist, I want the music to feel like this artist is really giving me a part of their story.
Right. Yeah. You worked on Amy Winehouse's albums, and as a fan, I'm curious to know when her next album's coming out. You probably get asked this all the time, but when's it going to happen?
It's one person in control of that.
Yeah.
Amy.
Yeah.
But we're a good way into the album so far.
Yeah.
Have a lot of the pieces put together. She's been writing her lyrics, taking her time with it.
Yeah.
And she has a lot of lyrics. When she's ready to she'll record in 5 minutes.
Right.
She's always been that way. She'll write for 2 weeks on the first album and record in one take.
Yeah.
5 minutes. So it's the balance. She's taking her time.
Yeah.
It could be any minute now. When she does decide to do it, it'll just be done in a week.
Well, what is your relationship like with her? I mean, you've described her as sort of your little sister before, and it seems like you guys have a really good working relationship.
Yeah, I mean, this really is what it's like, little
Yeah.
sister. Like, she came to me when she was 18, before she even had a deal.
Wow.
So it's like if I say, let's try doing this or let's try doing that, it's kind of, she runs things by me. And, at the same time, I respect her growth and try to nurture her growth as a lyricist and a performer, as everything else. So she is literally like a little sister. In the same way, I view Lauryn Hill the same way I view Jasmine Sullivan. You know, all the different artists I work with. You know, I have kind of a big brother thing with.
Yeah. Yeah. So that must be really important to the creative process too, is that same thing you said, having that sense of comfort when you're working together and all of that. So
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for me also, just with all of those artists I named, you know, I work with most of them as new artists. So it's not only about creating a situation where I'm going to someone as they're the big star. It's also helping recognize when I meet people on their first day of school. Wow, you know what? When you're a senior, you actually be able to lead the class,
right.
and helping them move towards that. So that's my perspective with artists in general. Just looking out and seeing somebody and seeing what they have special, and then giving them the confidence to complete their ideas
Yeah.
and be the best.
Yeah. So what's next for you? You got a lot of things going on always. What can
I
we
have
look forward
aspirations. I mean, at this point, I have over 20 years of making records alone, and I've been working on some films. So I want to do more film composing, not only executive music production, but film composing. Working on that. I want to write a play, kind of just the other aspects of music that are beyond just pop records. Still do the pop records and the popular records
Right.
that I feel are above the mark, and I can keep pushing the music forward. But at the same time, just also looking at other ways to express my creativity.
Yeah, definitely. Is it hard to do that, to kind of shift from working on a film to working on albums, or?
Not really. For me, it's like the artist is the same as the director, and the record label is the same as the studio. Studio and the label want money.
Yeah.
The artist and director want to have their art. So it's being the bridge between the two to actually give everybody what they need.
So what is your advice to aspiring music producers, who are kind of young and out there and hungry, but, maybe aren't getting the opportunities and are feeling hopeless, and of course,
I mean,
where the business is right now, I mean, it's not a good place. It's getting harder and harder as an artist, so, or a producer, so.
Well, the business will be the business. The record business may not be the same, but the music business will always survive because people want music. So, what the things that are available now, different from when I started, is the internet. It's just like if you're a video person, you could make your own video to someone's song and then have 1 million views on YouTube or whatever it may be. The same thing, you can do remixes of people's tracks and, make a name for yourself that way. And there are so many different ways within the net to really just go out and expose your music, your craft, your ideas, and your opportunities. And you can do it in your bedroom between midnight and 4 a.m.
Right.
every night, and next thing you know, you're famous.
Yeah.
So it just depends on how hard you work at it,
Right.
and you have to stay focused, and you have to be willing to sacrifice.
Yeah.
The only reason I've had such a long career is because I constantly make sacrifices, even now, in order to push things forward.
Yeah.
And if you're not willing to do that and to make sure that you're pushing the envelope will push you.
The envelope will push you.
Push the envelope before it pushes you.
Well, that's good. I think that's true for any profession. So
Definitely.
that's good advice. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Salaam. This has been
Thanks
great.
for having me.
Thank you.